Welcome to the Los Angeles Sentinel Daily Brief. This is where we talk Black and talk back to the headlines that are impacting the Black experience. I'm Neil Anderson, and here's what you need to know for today. As we look at the 2022 midterms and we look to decide in some states who's going to be our governor, who's going to be our representatives in Congress, and we vote up and down the ballot, there are some initiatives that are going to be critical for communities of color. Joining me now is Joe Sandberg to talk about the Living Wage Act, which could possibly be on the California ballot for the 2022 midterms. Welcome to the Daily Brief, Joe.
Thanks for having me.
I saw you at the California Democratic Executive Board meeting recently, and you said something that stood out to me. Can you talk to us about what you mean when you say poverty is a policy issue?
Poverty isn't a natural state of being, but we've been told and I think conditioned to believe we have to accept some amount of poverty to have a capitalistic, flourishing society. And that's just a lie. We have a system formed by policy choices that doesn't reward work. And if we made different policy choices that made the minimum wage a living wage, then we would have a society that both was prosperous and also one where there'd be no poverty.
How did you come up with the number 18 and why 18?
I actually think the minimum wage should be more like $25, but leadership at scale and with efficacy in the real world requires you to confront public opinion as it is. And where public opinion stands is wildly supportive of an $18 minimum wage.
Where did your passion come from to fight for 18 and just have such a passion about changing the conversation and the narrative about poverty and pushing it towards policy?
Well, it's personal for me. My mom raised me by herself, and we lost our home to foreclosure when I was a teenager. And that puts me in common with a lot of other people and doesn't make me unique. And that's exactly the problem, is that there are too many people who are growing up in situations where they're raised by a single mom who's working as hard as single mom can work, and they still don't experience the American dream. And I always knew that if I ever had the opportunity to affect change so that families like mine growing up wouldn't have to face the same kind of uncertainty and stress, I would do whatever I could to do it.
Can you talk to us about some of the support that you're receiving on a state and maybe even national level for the Living Wage Act?
We've received great support from our great labor movement, from great elected officials. Lorena Gonzalez, who's the head of the Cal Labor Fed, is a major supporter of ours. Congresswoman Barragan and Ada Briseño are co-plaintiffs in this lawsuit. Think about the significance that in this lawsuit I have as co-plaintiffs a member of Congress in Barragan, who represents the fourth poorest district in the state, fighting for her constituents to get a raise, and Ada Briseño, who represents one of the largest labor unions in the state, both putting themselves courageously out there to be co-plaintiffs in this lawsuit to get the minimum wage ballot initiative on the 22 ballot, because they also understand that the 5 million workers who would get a raise can't wait until 2024.
What do you think the impact will be on a national level should the Living Wage Act pass in California?
We're going to light a fire that can spread around the country in accelerating the power of workers to advocate and secure living wages for themselves and their families. I think that this is part of a bigger and broader movement I'm really honored to be a small part of.
Tell us how individuals can learn more and find more on the Living Wage Act.
We'll go to www.livingwageact.com and then write to your member of Assembly or Senate in Sacramento and urge them to do whatever they can to put this on the ballot in 22.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And we just appreciate all of your work that you are doing to help empower communities of color. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, family, for the latest in Black news, visit lasentinel.net. I'm Neil Anderson, and you've just been debriefed.